Wake up, wake up, wake up. It's time for a trade review. So what we're gonna do this week, guys, we're gonna go over 3 trades that we took earlier in the week. We're gonna kind of walk you through exactly how they work, what we were seeing, why we took the trade that we did. It's just kind of a helpful way to kind of look back and recap some of the things we did this week in an attempt to help you guys learn. And so the first trade we're going to look at here, we took SPY 598 calls at 9:59 a.m. in the morning, and I'll put that alert right here so you guys can see it, like how we alerted it out in the Discord. So with that, let me grab my pointer to find 9:59. It's going to be like right here on screen, right about there. Okay. So with that, we were betting on calls. As you can see, we're kind of in a downtrend here, but if you like patterns, it did look like we were forming potentially some type of bull flag. Now, I don't mind playing the standard pattern that does come with these flags, whether it be a bull flag or a bear flag on either up or down. But what I really like to play is the momentum out of the pattern. I don't really care what it's supposed to do. I'm just going to play the momentum out of it. So what we were watching at the time is that we were forming some type of a triangle pattern. So with that, you can see we were kind of dropping out of it here, which is a good indication for downside. Okay, so there's that. So we were kind of dumping. We dumped all the way down below our previous low, which is, some would call that a liquidity sweep if it was to come back up. Others, you're breaking resistance on the way down. So we had not entered into the trade yet. That candle right there was my indication that this was a fake out. This was a liquidity sweep underneath the previous low to try to get people into put so that they could push the price back up and get things for a cheaper premium. So this was at 9:57. We had not entered yet. We entered in between this candle and the next candle closed right there. So at that point, in my mind, strength was already coming back to the upside. We broke this low, got bought straight back up, and at that point, that's when I alerted calls to the Discord. They were at the relatively close to at the money, 598 calls, so we weren't too far out of the money, and they were $1.20 to start. It looks like I filled at 115 is when I got my fill. So with this, a great place to set your stop loss in a situation like this is I would not use this previous low. I would use something like this. This would be a great stop loss in my opinion, because if you do get, if you drop all the way back under that again, the chances of you just continuing down extremely high. So I'm going to use this here, and I know they're only a couple cents apart, right? But still, better safe than sorry. So with that, we entered that trade. Next few candles, forgive me. Next few candles went in our favor. And you can see here the EMA started to flip from red to green, right? So red to green, good indication for upside strength and a shift in momentum. And there it is again, right? So it comes down, it touched that EMA, and it looks like upside is the move here. Now at 10:13, it's not this candle, but this candle, you'll see that my personal custom indicator alerted calls right there, right? And so at that time, I went to the Discord and I typed out, hey, we were already in 598s, but I went ahead and typed out 599 calls. They were right at $1. I was going to trust the indicator. It gave me a good indication. We're shifting momentum to the upside, right? And so this is what happened here. You can see this trade just went fantastic. And right there, if you look back, you have gapped over previous resistance. At that time, this was 1024. At 1028, so the next candle, at 1028, those 599 calls were up 100%. the 598s were up 140%. So we took profits there, and we moved on. So simple as that. I mean, you're not doing a whole lot. Find a pattern, play the momentum. Don't be married to one side or the other. So just keep that in mind. That's trade number one. Shifting gears straight over to trade number two. Trade number two happened at right around 9:30 on the 25th. Let me grab that. Okay, so 9:30 on the 25th. And so with that, we were in a really nasty downtrend. Just a few minutes earlier, 9:17, we actually ended up playing puts to the downside. Took them, it says 53%. And so these candles look small, but from 9:17, this is 9:12, 9:15. Okay, so somewhere in between these two candles, somewhere in this candle, we took puts, and to right here, they were up 53%. That's not really a trade I'm trying to show you because it's just not as important. So the 594s, let's take a look at what happened here. We entered into this trade at 9:36, and again, I'll put that right in this general area so that you can see them. It's going to be kind of the same. We were pulling away from the EMA, and then we had two really strong candles that looked like it was going to take us for a reversal. Typically what price wants to do is ride this bottom EMA, and if it's going the opposite direction, it'll ride the top EMA. That's just kind of the way that the price likes to work. So when I see something like this, where we have two very strong candles showing us upside strength, I'm okay to go ahead and jump in those, even though the EMA and the trend is down. It doesn't always work, but it does have pretty good success. So it does look like this trade went to about 10 o'clock. So not super long of a trade here. But let's see how it played out. And like I said, we entered right at 9:36 is when I sent the alert. Those were 594 calls. So we were looking a little bit out of the money, but the reason for that being is we had resistance here. Had resistance there at 593.50, so I thought, well, if we can push up to 593.50, then we would be able to make a pretty good profit. And they were relatively cheaply priced. They were $85, so that's not too bad. So that was kind of my indication for taking 594s versus maybe something closer to in the money. So with that, we'll take an eye. So we entered here on SPY at 9:36. Next candle was flat. Following candle was pretty strong. Another flat candle. So this candle here is showing that we are breaking up and out of the pattern, and then boom, there you go. There's your candle up. It flipped our EMA green, right? So that's good there. And then the next candle at this is at 9:54. At 9:53, that was already a 50% trade. So that little move there on SPY, that was 53%. $1.80 move, 53% for those 594s, and I mean rightfully so. You can see they got to here 593.42. So they were creeping up on in the money. That was trade number 2. Trade number 3 on the week. This was our big one. This was one of our biggest trades. Let's see. This was on the 26th. At what time? 11:15. 26th at 11:15. Okay, so it was actually 11:18 when we entered. So we'll go one more candle. Okay, so and again, I'll put the picture here. I'll put the alert here. It was at 18. This goes all the way to, yeah, this is 18. So we actually entered right near the top of this. And the reason for that being is we saw this resistance. This resistance right here could not be broken, and we played the opposite direction. We played the reversal on that. We alerted SPY 60. No, I'm sorry. That is incorrect. No, that's right. That is right. So I will. Yeah, I picked the wrong trade, but that's okay because we can learn from this. I did not pick a big trade. I picked my only red trade of the week on accident. So we'll roll with it because that's how this should be done. So let me show you here exactly what happened. Is that, and let me change this to show that. So that's exactly what happened here. As you can see, I'll select this. We were in a very similar situation to the last two trades that I showed you, right? We flipped our EMA down. We'll get that put thing out of the way. It's just okay. So we pushed down, and then we had a really strong 2 candles, and then this candle here looked like it was pushing through the EMA, right? So just like the last two trades, if you get in early as it starts to curl, you have a really good potential for upside, right? So I was thinking to myself, okay, this should be a completely fine trade. This was at 11:06. We entered this trade at 11:18. So with that, there's 11:09. There's 11:12. Again, pretty good indication for upside. You had a consolidation candle and then a push above, and it actually flipped that EMA green. You can kind of see it between those there. Next candle, beautiful, right? Beautiful entry. It flipped our EMA from red to green, came back down into the EMA cloud, gave us our entry, and so at this point, this was 11:15, we entered on the next candle. It did not look like that when we entered. It was much, much smaller, and I'll put the picture right here of what it looked like when we entered. I filled this position at 76. I had a stop loss at 50. And it did not take long, as you can see with this candle. By 11:26, I was already out of the position. So there's that. And then I was already out of the position. It hit my stop loss here on the next candle, right here. Right here on this wick down, it did end up hitting my stop loss. So this is just a really good indication that, like, even though I've spent a lot of time and I've really coded into this this indicator, it's not perfect, right? In a choppy situation like this, it's not going to be perfect. And I'll gladly, here, let me turn this back on. I'll gladly show you. It's not. It said buy puts here and it pushed down. It said buy puts here, it pushed up. Buy calls here, it pushed down. When you're in the chop like this and there's no true indication of momentum shift, this indicator does a very good job at tracking momentum. Like you can see here, look at this. So it said buy calls and it knew the momentum had shifted from downside to upside, right? And then you ride this whole entire ride up. When you're chopping like this, there's no indication of who's winning the fight, right? Bulls or bears or whatever. So with that, it does not work great in the chop. It's not terrible. It does miss some. But yeah, that was kind of a funny surprise. I thought I had a really big win to end this video, but in fact it was a loss, and I have no problem sharing those with you guys. So we will continue making these throughout the remainder of the month. Not this month, next month, throughout the remainder of March. If you guys like them, I'll continue them. For the small account challenge, we're going to do one of these. I'm going to try for every single trade. It's going to be difficult. I took about 14 trades this week, and each trade to review takes about 15 to 20 minutes. So that would make it for a really, really long video, and I don't know if you guys would be interested in something like that. That just seems like a lot to watch. But anyway, and I also don't edit these. They're raw. You can see it in real time. And so with that, that's going to be the end of this video. I will make week 2. Week 2 will be out next week. So yeah, you guys have a good weekend, and if you need anything, just comment below. I will do my best to help you out. See ya.